Hey, David, welcome to the show.
Hey, Jason, glad to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you on. Tell us who you are, what you do.
I run an agency called Arcstone in Minneapolis. Um, we've been at this for a long time, since 1997. It's been an adventure, and from that agency, we've spun up a variety of other little startups. So it's been an incubator and an agency, and just a lifestyle all rolled into one.
Very cool. So what got you started in 97?
Well, I had the opportunity when I was pretty young to work at a startup where we built one of the first commercial real estate MLS platforms on the web. Back then, commercial realtors were faxing listings to each other, and we said, "There's this thing called the internet." This was like
Put it
1994
on
ish.
Prodigy?
Yeah, right. The AOL disk. So with they faxed it in along with those AOL
Right.
offerings. We built that platform, and at the end, I was the president COO, and we ended up selling that business to the Association of Realtors here, and they took the foundation of that platform we put together and rolled it out to 28 other markets. So they were our first customer at Arcstone. But you get to know so many people in the association world, um, and one thing led to another, and there were so many websites that needed to get built back in the mid '90s. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
those
Well,
early days.
I what did you build your websites on? Was there a tool or did you just hard code it in HTML?
Oh boy, we're in Minneapolis, so we are the birthplace of Cold Fusion. Do you remember Cold Fusion?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was one of the first kind of it was a tag based interactive language where you could pretty much use HTML, but use CFML. So you could
Mm-hmm.
put these cold fusion tags in line with your HTML and make it interactive. You could,
Yeah.
build out forms. And, Cold Fusion's still around. It was sold for the Allaire brothers, JJ and Jeremy, who were just down the street from us. Um, Took that and sold it to Macromedia, which was then gobbled up by Adobe. And Adobe still supports Cold Fusion today.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, I think back I mean, when I started designing websites, yeah, in 99, it was tables, and I
Yeah.
wasn't that good at coding, even though my degree was computer programming, but I paid everybody to do my work, so I had to use Dreamweaver and FrontPage to create sites after I would design it in Photoshop.
Hey, those were handy tools. I had a few front page sites
Dude, all
back
my
in
buddies made fun of
the day,
FrontPage, and I was like, my websites look so much better than your crappy programming websites.
Yeah, and Dreamweaver was quite the game changer too.
Dreamweaver was great.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, it took out a lot of the crap code that front page
Hmm.
would put in there. But yeah, my first couple websites were on front page, so they had little animated gifs that would run across the
Hmm.
screen.
Hmm.
So that was fun. Um, let's talk about, when did you realize you were turning the agency into an incubator agency? Because I always ask people that. So I love that finally I have a guest that actually mentioned it before I even asked it. So when did you realize you were going to build
Oh,
other
really?
stuff within the
From
agency?
day one. Um, yeah, we sold to this association, and so that was I always kind of was looking for opportunities for recurring revenue. So we always have hosted websites. We've always been more on the technical side of things. So early days, I had two T1 lines coming to the house, an air conditioner in the window well of my basement, a generator in the backyard. So we were serious about our hosting.
What did your neighbors think?
Yeah, it was a little weird, but I had the best internet. Uh, for back in the day, I think we had 1.5 megabit. It was screaming blazingly fast there with a single T1. Combine it, it's mind blowing. But um, knowing all these associations, I actually got a group together. So I got, I think it was 6 or 7 groups together, and said, hey, you guys want a website, but you want it interactive for your members. You want to allow your members to log in. You want to be able to broadcast email them. You want to maintain their data, have them pay their dues online, register for events. And why don't you all kick in 8 grand and we'll build a system? And so they all said yes, and that's how we started our SaaS company, AMO, which is still around at associationsonline.com. So that's a sister company. It's connected to Arcstone, and you know, still supporting that software. And
What year was this?
this was around 2000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So around 2000, I never heard of SaaS, and so we built a content management system. It was drag and drop. We built an email
Mhm.
marketing system, e-commerce store, all these amazing technologies, but we installed it on every instance
Well,
rather.
we did too. So I
Okay.
would say the first iteration was just like how you described it. It wasn't multi-tenant, right? It was
Okay.
just,
Okay.
you got your own version of AMO that was
I
siloed.
was like,
And then of
man, you
course
were
you get
leaps and bounds ahead of me because I didn't hear of like SaaS for like 10 more years.
no, we were on the same page. That
Okay.
was
All right.
that'd be even there's a little forward thinking, probably for back then, for me at least too. So I'm
How
with
did
you.
you? Okay. Here's my question, because I kept getting distracted by those annoying clients that I had at the agency, so I could never build my own technology. It kept distracting us from it. So how did you build the technology?
Well, we were lucky in that because we kind of kickstarted it in a way, right? We
Mm-hmm.
were building it for the clients as we were going, so it made it easier because they were using it, and as soon as we brought components online, we got immediate feedback. It was actually a great way to to build out software because you get that immediate feedback. So as long as you can get enough people together to raise their hand
Yeah.
and say, "Hey, build this. I'll kick in 10 grand for this particular idea," and they get, "Hey, this is a $50,000 piece of software you are going to get to use." And then we use the same thing. Not too long ago, actually, back in late 2019, early 2020. Remember those days? I mean, all burnt into our brains with
Yeah.
COVID and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
But we wanted to add an event app to our association management software, AMO, and so I reached out to our customers and said, "Hey, would you like an event app? Why don't we get together 20 and you can each be part of the founders club, and you put in, 5 grand each, and you get lifetime use of this app." So, otherwise there are going to be monthly fees and, et cetera, et cetera. And, you give us feedback. And that was the deal. And we got, I think 15 to raise their hand and say, "Okay, I'm in." And we had enough money to develop a mobile app for our software. So it's both the SaaS and then the mobile app connects to it. And as an event attendee, you can visit the event and scroll through and, just like a regular event app, like what I've kind of
I
seen.
like that approach because most people that I talk to, they'll go build it and then try to sell it. But you went
Yeah.
to the existing people that could use it to get them to fund it without any ownership. That is brilliant. I love it.
Well, I think it's just so helpful to get that immediate feedback. I know my tendency is to overcomplicate too sometimes, and if I'm just doing it on my own, I will overbuild and I'll make things too complicated, and then you have to undo it. You got to not only pay a programmer to do it or program it yourself, you have to then unwind it and make it work
Yeah.
the way it's supposed to. So it like costs you 3 times. Yeah.
What are other things that you built over the years that have turned into SaaS products?
We did a project for a big, as we'll just say, oil and gas company. And this was, again, it was a little bit earlier days. This might be 2001. And they were very frustrated because they were limited in sending email attachments. They couldn't send attachments that were bigger than a megabyte. And so they're essentially looking for an easy to use FTP. Think Dropbox or Box.net, but those didn't exist back then.
Nope.
So we built a document management system. It was all tag based, and we actually applied for a patent on the tagging. And they denied our provisional patent, and I would have had to fight to get it, so we just let it go, or whatever. But we built that platform and we called it Wonderfile, and that was a true multi-tenant SaaS. And we started signing up users, and we were making some progress. And we had an opportunity to sell it, and we ended up selling it to Blue Tie in New York when they wanted a document management system. So it turned out, I think, well for us. It was getting to a point where it's kind of like And this is one of the dangers, I think, if you spin up new things, it's like too many plants in one pot.
Yep.
They start
Yep.
to choke each other out. So you really have to kind of separate those, I think, and give each one a management team. And I wasn't quite far enough along in my career to relinquish that control or really kind of,
Oh, we're young and stupid,
yeah,
and
and
we
it needed more money. I think if we could have got some real investors, I've always bootstrapped everything, and so that was an adventure. The thing I'm doing differently now, we have another um, startup essentially that we just started the end of last year that is an accessibility tool that it's cloud based and it scans your site. It looks at your website as if it was a blind person. And then it originally came from us wanting to have quality assurance on our websites because I don't know if your listeners see this, but every RFP we get of size, first, second, or third line item on that RFP is accessibility compliance,
yeah, because they're getting
right?
sued.
Yeah, people are getting sued, and every site of any size has to have that. And Accessibee and some of these other folks with overlays that have their products out, I know have had challenges. There have been lawsuits against them too, and FTC fines. So the overlays don't really work. The other tools are expensive, and we were looking for a solution for us. And I just wanted something. I want a punch list for an intern or for our customers who don't know much about the web, so that if they save a page in their WordPress site, it tells them, oh, you messed something up. You just reduced your accessibility score. And that's what we built.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it's a little scanning tool. It exists as a very lightweight plugin in WordPress. And then the heavy lifting happens out in the cloud. So it comes in and it scans, looks at the page, and then it gives you a score and it makes a punch list of the things that are wrong. And then you can fix it. And
Now, did
then
you go to existing clients to get them to fund it this time, or
uh,
did you?
in this case, we didn't. We built it because we needed it as a tool for ourselves first. We built it for ourselves. Then we did a beta test with existing customers. Of the beta test, we had 40% of them signed up. So we've, now at this point have about, pushing 30 customers or so who are using it. And we are talking to agencies, maybe like some of your listeners who might be
Mhm.
interested in reselling it. They are, we're trying to figure out how do we bring it to market, want to make it affordable and efficient for teams to use to solve this accessibility problem. So it's easy for customers, it's easy for the constituents out there who need the help. And just make WordPress sites proper. If they're properly built, then they'll work.
Yeah.
So,
How do you, going back to, you're building all these companies, how are you not getting distracted with all of it? Because I remember when we were building the CMS and all these different things, we had the same team. I didn't have anybody in charge of any of it other than me. So I was the biggest surprise. I was the biggest bottleneck for
the
everything.
bottleneck's always at the top of the bottle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like there was like everything has to go through me, which is the dumbest thing. And you just get to a point where you're just like, man, I can't handle it anymore. Right. Like I, what did you solve from that?
I think that I had to learn to let go and set
What was the
up.
breaking point to get there though? Because you probably held on to that for a long time, I presume.
Oh, the breaking point. The breaking point was me. Total break. No, well, a little bit of that. I think it just kind of came with maturity of just realizing, oh, I can't do all this. I'm going to drive myself crazy. So that was one. There's multi factors, right? So that's one factor. The other factor is, my partner. I have a partner in the business. Is my wife, and she's the CEO now. So she's running Arcstone. We have a great team, a great management team at AMO, our association software, and we've got a management team set up at INSEE too. So I am serving more as kind of an advisor. I sit in the CFO seat at Arcstone now.
Yeah.
And so that frees me up a little bit to be able to kind of play monster back, right? If you played football, that's I think the most fun position, right? You get to go all over the field.
Yeah.
So if you've got that founder's ADHD or entrepreneurial spirit, it's a little dangerous, but that's a good way to
Yeah.
set it up.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing I tell people, and, you know, it's all about letting go, and you have to evolve your role. And the cool thing is everyone thinks, or the challenge is everyone thinks when you found an agency or found a business, you're the owner. You are not the owner. The business actually owns you. You're its bitch. Right? If you think about it.
Totally.
And in order to get to the owner status, you have to be fully out of the business,
Mm-hmm.
right? And have to have like decision layers. But you can't go from founder to owner. There's a number of different stages in between that you have to build. And what I found is, you can go from the founder, which is really the operator of doing everything, and then you go to manager, but you're still doing everything plus managing people that you're actually doing their job, which makes no sense
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
until you can really kind of start putting things into place where they can make decisions without you. And you start relieving some of that bottleneck until we decide as idiots to jump in and be like, we want to be significant again. Let me be a bottleneck.
Yeah,
And you jump back in.
that's a pattern that totally happens. It's an easy trap I fall into, have fallen into before. You step in and you just mess everything up because you start tweaking things, or,
Well,
the
yeah,
systems are in place. You should not mess,
yeah. Well,
you know.
why would you jump back in? Would you see the fender bender coming or the train wreck, or would you be like, I need to feel needed again? What was it?
No, there's a little honey there that is teasing me back. Is usually a friend, old client, who's become a friend now because you care about them and they want to have something done. And so that's the connection. They're like, oh, I want to have this, do this campaign or build a site. And so I feel like I need to be involved, but I really shouldn't be. That's how it's gotten me the last couple times,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah,
there's a little
yeah. I'd be
honey
like, I'll take care of you, and then psychologically, it crushes your team because then they're like, oh, David doesn't think I can actually do my job. He's actually
there.
doing my job. And then what I found happen is then they actually started waiting for me to do their job.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm like, what? And they were like, well, you did it last time. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, touche.
Yeah.
Let's fix this. Let's remove myself. Let me just go over here. And the business needs me for something else.
Yeah, I think the business frameworks, and I know you've had some EOS conversations too on your podcast. Those have been helpful to reframe things. And going back to your question about letting go, I think getting some education in terms of that and looking at scaling up EOS, some of these, and there are a variety of frameworks out there that can really help to at least provide, instead of you're just making something up from, oh, there you go. There you go. I I laid it out for you, Jason.
I mean, that was a perfect tee up for the people listening. There's a new book coming out called Operator to Owner that I wrote that's coming out, and it goes through all of this.
That's awesome. So I get it, my free autograph copy
That's
now,
right.
don't I?
There you go.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
But yeah, the big thing I think, and what the book talks about is, it's not the who do you need to hire, it's the who do you need to become. Because the business
Mm-hmm.
needs you for something new, right? Like, and it really goes through 5 stages, like operator to manager, which I described, then
Mm-hmm.
architect, where you're designing systems for people to make approval or make decisions. And then you have the CEO, which is, steering the direction, communicating it to the team, understanding financials, building those key relationships. And then you have the owner, which that's where you're at, right? Like, you can walk away, right? Your team can make decisions without you. And that's the only way you can have multiple companies, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Multiple
Yeah,
successful companies.
you will run yourself ragged. Yeah, you need
Yeah.
that support. Yeah,
Yeah.
you've got to set up the framework to provide that support, right? I mean, it's just a natural. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just, you know what, when I sold the first agency, I sold it at the CEO level. I wasn't an owner. The business still needed me to direct it. And I thought and at that time I was at my max. I was like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
holding the business back. Right. And then looking back after people started reaching out to me, after I sold, I was like, oh, yeah, like I could see it a whole different light since I wasn't in
Mm-hmm.
in the forest, right? Like I felt like I was above the forest. I was like, oh, I can see this very clear. I was like, wow,
Mhm.
that was a wrong approach that I took on that particular decision. I would totally do it over again. And like, did you experience that too?
Um,
Like where you
yeah,
felt like you were holding the business back at certain times, but then you
yeah,
could evolve.
I still, I think it's the, any kind of growth is kind of spiral like. It's kind of circular. I just, I think you have those, the patterns get set up, and then you learn the lesson again and again. And so I have been getting better, right? And that's why having a framework to kind of help guide that spiral growth um, is really, really helpful. Because then you can recognize, oh, this is something I've seen before. There's a pattern recognition, a matching that kind of happens.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and, and
Yeah, it's kind of like when I would race cars and I'd go to a new track. The only way that I would get better at these new tracks is I would try to go, oh, that corner is like this old corner at Road Atlanta or at this
Mhm,
track.
mhm,
And it's the
mhm.
same thing in business. It's like, oh, it's a different challenge, but it's very similar to this challenge that
Yeah,
we conquered, and it makes it a little bit easier. But it only takes it takes going through the getting bloody a little bit.
yeah. We've definitely had our noses bloodied a few times along the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's no skipping that. I mean, you could skip some of it, right, if you surround yourself with the right people. But I always tell people when they join the mastermind, I'm like, look, we'll solve some challenges, but those challenges will create new challenges.
Yeah.
If you have a lead problem, we could solve that. But then you realize you have a capacity problem,
Yep.
right?
Then it
And we
turns to
solve that.
ops, and it's
Right.
back and forth. I always say it's like spinning plates. You are running around and you have to be scanning for what plate is wobbly. You go and you address that plate, and keep
Yeah.
going and
Yeah. And you just
keep
were
it
like,
spinning.
I'll pick this one. I think that's the biggest impact one. And sometimes you pick wrong, and that's okay. But that's the beauty about what we do. And I was this morning I was recording a video talking about, especially with AI. I mean, obviously through
Oh
our
yeah.
lifetime in this agency world, things have changed quite a bit. And I do have a
Yeah.
question for you. When you started, I I look at it in two ways, especially right now. And I think people back in the 90s thought about this when the internet was coming, because obviously we had traditional agencies, right? And I was always excited about the internet. I never worried about it, but I know some traditional agencies did. And I have the same feeling that there's agencies right now with AI. There's a camp for worried and there's a camp for excited. And I feel that there's more worried people because they have something to protect. Do you feel that
Hmm.
way too?
Yeah, I think that is really pretty apt. I think the dawning of the internet, which we've seen, right, was a sea change. For those old school agencies, they were going to have to learn a whole new set of skills to uh, you know, well, stay in business. Really,
Yeah.
they really had to evolve. And the mobile coming online like it did was another little mini revolution. It wasn't quite the sea change as the internet,
Yeah.
but AI, I think, is bigger than the internet.
That's the biggest thing
And
I've ever seen.
yeah, yeah, it's like printing press level. Is this a new species or not? Kind of, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone's freaking out, like we are, right? Talking about this, it's
Yeah.
like it's amazing and well and scary, and you have all these mixed feelings. But from an agency perspective, it's it's something that yeah, I'm sure people, if you're afraid, you should face that fear, and you need to really look squarely at it, because it's a whole new toolkit that has been brought to you that if you it's the equivalent of you're riding your horse and buggy. Here's a Jeep
Ferrari.
Wrangler, or more like a helicopter, right, or a
Yeah.
spaceship. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it'll get you from point A to point B a lot faster. But it's also something that is rapidly changing. So it is, you have to know that you're talking about getting your nose bloodied. This is a time to get your nose bloodied and just know, hey, it's going to happen, and just to dive in and let your nose get bloodied a few times, because it's worth the fight. It's I think it's going to be really interesting. If you're not in there surfing the wave, you're going to be you will be pummeled
Yeah,
by it.
and I don't think like, I just got back from our conference Elevate where we had, 60 amazing agency owners talking about all this.
Hmm.
And, I told them, I go, look, some days I'm scared of it, some days I'm not. Some
Yeah.
days I'm real excited. And I tell people it's okay to have both emotions because it
Hmm.
makes you curious. And it's not something where you can hire someone to come in and make your agency AI leveraged or whatever. Like that's almost like when the internet came out. It's like, hey, David, you understand the internet really good. Can you go navigate this for me?
Hmm.
Like you have to learn it in order to see what you can do. And
Yeah.
then what I tell people, and what I told everybody at Elevate, you have to really understand it and start building these AI agents for yourself. But the real power is teaching your team how to do that.
Yeah.
And when they start building these AI agents, now you took a team of 15 people and made them like a team of 100 people.
Right. I totally agree. And I absolutely concur with, your emotional swings. I feel the exact same way. Um, you know, Pretty early on, this was maybe a week after you could store context in Claude. I took a course with 60 other business owners. This is from 60 business owners from around the world doing a deep dive. It was expensive, cost 10 grand to go to the course and get in on this with this kind of group. And, um, applying kind of a business framework to that context and building an output with a cohort of people. And that was an eye opener, of course, right? It was a game changer for us. And what it did is it really inspired me to set up a couple seats at Arcstone for AI architect and AI operator, right? So you've got the mindset of someone who really can build those agents, right? That architecture or build those workflows. And then operators, which are kind of like you say, take your 15 people, really understand that. You're right, it's a multiplier.
Yeah.
But that human in the loop is so important still. And I think that
Well,
the
it still
trap
lies
there,
to us. I mean, just
what's
this
that?
morning, sorry, I'm about to sneeze, but this morning I had it do something and I was like, that's not right. And, oh yeah, that's right. You're totally right. I was just
Yeah,
kidding. I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you son of
Oh
a
yeah,
bitch.
you're absolutely right. How many times have you seen that? But you have to put in your reps, like you're saying with the other owners. If you haven't dove into it yet, put in your reps and spend time. Pick an LLM of your choice and put in 20+ hours. There are so many different kinds of materials and resources now. It doesn't take long to get educated into the basics.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I tell everybody, whatever model you start training, you have to document that just because the models would change, right? Like it's going to be a constant war between, right now, Claude is the best. Well, up
Mhm.
until that past week, I think it's been dumb as shit, and really pissing me off. But like it could be ChatGPT. Like maybe they're playing the rope a dope until they go public, or Gemini always or Google kind of always lays back, lets everybody go through the wall a little bloody, and then they come out and just crush everyone. So you never
Mhm.
know what model is going to be amazing. So I almost tell everybody, you got to build your like AI operating system. Like, how could you create these multi layers in order to make decisions faster for you, for your team, for your company, right? Like, and put all of it together because it's an amazing gift, but it can also take you down very fast if you don't adapt.
Mhm. 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 Yeah.
So, uh,
Yeah.
well, David, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing and being transparent with all of us. I think all of us are thinking exactly what you're talking about, especially like building products and software. You're like, wow, like never before could we all build software and anything we dream up of. But the cool advantage that I think all of us have is this: we're creative, we're innovative, And gosh darn, people like us.
Yeah, those skills will transfer,
They will.
and so I think you're right, Jason. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me
Yeah.
on the
Awesome.
podcast today.
Thanks, guys. And until next time, have a swank day.